So what if an analyst told you they'd found a stock with absolutely massive long-term potential? Well, that's exactly what we're digging into today. We're unpacking a really deep analysis of a solar company called Insolation Energy, and the main thesis here is, well, it's incredibly bold. Let's just jump right in.
See? Right out of the gate, this analysis does not mess around. It calls the company a high-conviction, multi-bagger potential stock. That is a huge claim. I mean, it suggests the possibility of some truly life-changing returns. So the big question is, what's backing up that level of confidence?
Okay, before we go any further, let's just make sure we're on the same page. When we say multi-bagger, we're talking about a stock that could return many, many times what you put in. You know, a 2-bagger doubles your money, a 10-bagger gives you a 10x return, so yeah, we are talking about the potential for some seriously transformative growth here.
All right, let's get into the meat of it. The entire bullish argument for this company, the whole thing, is built on one core idea: a completely staggering projection for growth.
Just look at how fast these numbers are climbing. In fiscal year 23, revenue is about 279 crores. It then jumps to 737 crores in 24, and it's projected to nearly double again to over 1,300 crores in 25. I mean, that is just an incredibly steep climb.
But hold on, that isn't even the headline number. The really mind-boggling figure comes from the company's own guidance for fiscal year 2028. They are targeting a revenue of 8,600 crores. That is just a massive, massive leap from where they are right now.
So let's break that down. What does that actually mean? Well, if, and it's a big if, management can actually hit that target, we are looking at revenue multiplying 6 times over, and profits potentially growing by more than 10 times in just the next 3 years. That's the kind of insane growth that really defines a multi-bagger story.
Of course, a company can't just pull those kinds of numbers out of thin air. You need a powerful current pushing you forward, right? So let's look at the bigger picture, the industry forces, or tailwinds, that are fueling this ambition. And wow, the environment seems pretty perfect. You've got this huge national push in India towards solar and renewables. There are specific government programs designed to speed things up. The company itself has a massive pipeline of potential projects lined up. And here's the really smart part. They're starting to make their own components, a strategy that could seriously boost their profit margins down the line.
Okay, so we've got a huge growth target and a market that's ready for it. But what are the signals coming from inside the company? Is management just talking a big game, or are their actions actually backing it all up?
Well, the analysis points to several actions that basically scream conviction. They're pouring money into expanding their capacity by 8 times. The promoters, the people who know the company best, are out there buying more of their own stock. They just successfully raised over 400 crores from big institutional investors, and a move to the main stock exchange is going to open the floodgates for even more capital. These are definitely not the actions of a leadership team that's just bluffing.
Okay, so an ambitious plan, a favorable market, signs of serious internal confidence. This all sounds pretty fantastic. So is this just a guaranteed home run? Well, not so fast.
Let's be real. With any investment that promises these kinds of massive returns, there are always going to be significant risks to think about. And this analysis is very clear about the hurdles that are standing in the way. First and foremost is execution risk. It's the biggest one. Can they actually build out all this new capacity on time and on budget? All that expansion is being funded by a lot of debt, over 1,300 crores, and that needs to be managed super carefully. The analysis also says, hey, keep an eye on how quickly they're actually getting paid by their customers. And then, of course, there's the ever-present threat of competition, especially from lower-cost Chinese imports.
And this really gets us to the core tension of this entire story. It's a classic push and pull. On one side, you have this absolutely enormous potential, fueled by a booming market and super aggressive targets. And on the other side, you have the immense challenge of actually making it all happen. The whole investment thesis really boils down to which of these two forces wins out in the end.
So, after laying out the massive opportunity and all the significant risks, where does the analysis ultimately land? How does it weigh these two competing forces? What's the final call? And this right here is the key takeaway. The conclusion isn't that they have to be absolutely perfect. The analyst is arguing that even if they only achieve, say, 70 to 80% of their super ambitious plan, the stock could still multiply 5 to 10 times over in the next 5 to 7 years. So the final verdict is basically this. While the risks are very, very real and you should not ignore them, the potential reward is just so large that it creates a pretty favorable setup for a long-term investor. It's really a calculated bet on the company's ability to execute.
And that leaves us with the one question that just overshadows everything else. The market is there, the plan is in place, but can they deliver? The answer to that simple question of execution, well, that's what will ultimately decide if this story becomes the massive multi-bagger the analysis suggests it could be.